Okay, so today we're going to be going over cleansing a date field in Google BigQuery. So step one is essentially going to be uploading the data to the cloud. So we're going to take care of that, uploading it to Google Cloud into a bucket. And then step two, we're going to be actually manipulating the data and getting it updated and ready from essentially a staging table to then a production table. So let's just get right into that. So we're going to go to the search bar actually and just do cloud storage. And then we're here, we hit create. And then here we can just do something like sales test and then some numbers. Hopefully that's unique across Google. Looks like it is. Now we have our bucket. So we're in the bucket now. Now we're just going to upload our file, and I'm going to select a CSV that I already created, and we are now uploading that. It's been successfully uploaded. Very quick. It's a small file, only 1,000 rows of data that I got from makaroo.com, which you can generate free data, so it's a pretty handy website. Okay, so now we are in our bucket and we have our file uploaded. So now we're going to go to our BigQuery console. So for that, we can just click this and go to BigQuery like that. Ooh, blinded. Okay, so we're in the BigQuery console now, and what we're going to do is click these three dots here to view actions and then create a data set. We're going to call this test and just hit create data sets. Then on our data set, we're going to click these three dots again and hit create table. Now we have this open up. What we're going to do is select create table from Google Cloud Storage. We're just going to simply browse because there's not many, so it's pretty straightforward to navigate. Select that. We are doing CSV because it's a CSV file. The table, we'll just call it sales data. For schema, we're going to auto detect, and that will keep things simple. And then we're going to simply upload this into our staging table, which I suppose I could have named this actually sales data staging, but not a big deal. Okay, now we have our data loaded into the data set, and we can click on the data set here, and then we can click on the table here, and we see we have sales details ID, sales ID, item, price, quantity, and sales date. And we can see that sales date is actually a string, so that's peculiar. So what we're going to do is handle that. We're going to transform the date field from the string into a valid date. So we're going to go right into a new query window, and we're simply just going to look at what we have. So select star from, and I'm going to actually zoom in F1 to bring up the context window. Then I just do zoom in. So I have cellular-unity like that, .test, .sales_data, case sensitive. So we have this. We're just going to do that, and maybe I make it bigger for the video purpose. Hopefully this is helpful so we can really see what's going on. And I have a typo. And then we just do Control-Enter to hit run. And so as we can see, our sales date, it's wrapped in single quotes. That's not the entire issue though. So if we actually do select current_date function, we can see that the default format for Google BigQuery looks like this. So what we're going to actually need to do is transform our string date into a date that is date, month, year, separated by hyphens, and also to fill in zeros for single-digit numbers on the day and the month. So it sounds pretty simple, but we'll get into it and we'll see the complexity of this. It's not too bad, but it's definitely really important to know. So the first thing, we're just simply going to grab sales date and probably simply just replace the single quotes with nothing as sales underscore date underscore clean. And we can just look at that. So again, as we can see, we have 4 different iterations of this column. So we have month, day, and year, but we have month with a single digit. We have day with a single digit. Then here we have month with 1 digit, day with 2. Then if we scroll down some more, we'll have 2 and 2. And then the last iteration is 2 in the month and 1 on the day. So we need to ensure that we cover all 4 of those. And since it differs in the number of characters, we won't be able to use left and right functions except for the year. So we'll start off with the year. So we can do essentially right for the year. In this instance, depending on how your data essentially comes in, it's going to depend on the formula. So it's different for all of them, but this is going to be a solid foundation for how you can refactor it to be appropriate. Potentially, you would need to use regex for the year, but in this instance, it's right for, and we can see that now we're going to rename this to year, and we're going to output that. I'm also going to select it again just so we can have a comparison right there. Okay, so as we can see, 2024, 2024, 2023, 2023. So we're grabbing the year correctly, so that's good. Let's see. So the next one is going to be month. So we'll go under year and we'll do kind of the same thing. We'll just copy the replace because this is our foundational function for each one. If there's no single quotes, you don't need to do this. And you can just grab the sales date column instead with the replace. But in this instance, we just want to remove that for simplicity. At least I think it's a little bit simpler to work with, something that's at least somewhat normal. And what we're going to do next is essentially use regex. So regex extract, so we're going to extract what matches. And so within this first section is our column to check, and in the second section is our regex. The syntax for Google BigQuery is the letter R, and then 2 single quotes to actually get your regex function. We're then going to call this as month, and we're going to extract. Actually, let's do as day first because it's a little bit simpler. It's the first one, so we'll be doing that. So in regex, essentially the capture spot is going to be wrapped within a parentheses. So what we want to capture is a /day /digit question mark. So what this is we're getting 1 digit. So for example, this digit right here, and then we're getting a second digit if it exists. So that's what the question mark is. So for example, for here, we'll get 1 digit, 2 digits. Here we'll get 1 digit, and we're wrapping this within the capture. Then we're going to escape the backslash. So escape backslash to signify this is before the first backslash in this. So technically, actually, we don't necessarily need the, what's it called? The replace function. So I'm actually just going to remove that to test out my theory that we don't need it. So we have sales date and regex extract 2 digits if the second one exists before the backslash as day. And then we'll run that. And as we can see, we now have day. It looks like I'm actually pulling in month. So that's my mistake. So this was month after all. So I'm just going to redo that. Okay, so we have year, month, and then soon we'll have day. But let's just check our month field to make sure that we're actually bringing it in correctly. So one thing we'll have to update is the 0 padding, and we'll get to that in a second. But we can see we're getting 12 here with no backslash. So if we just did left 2, which I can show you here, if we did, for example, this and did left 2 as month incorrect, or if we did left 1, we could see that for the singles, we're getting the backslash, then we get 12 correctly. If we do month 1, then we're not getting the 12. We could do month 2 and then replace, whoops, let me put the comma there, and then replace the slash, and I believe that might replace with a blank. This might work as well, potentially. Let's see. So it looks like that also potentially works. So something to consider, but regex is simply a faster lookup and is more accurate. So I would highly recommend not doing left and right because that can cause real data quality issues, except for in this instance where it's pretty easy. But even this, I would technically want to replace that with regex. Now, moving on, we're going to now capture the day, rename this to day, and we can see the format is year, month, day. So we have year, month, day. Then we're going to change up our regex here. So we're still going to capture two digits, but we're also going to want to get those 2 digits when they're within these 2 slashes. So escape slash escape a digit, a second digit if it exists, and the digits are within the capture region in the parentheses, then escape another slash. And so that's the lookup. The lookup is the 2 slashes with the 2 digits, and then the capture, the extraction is the digits. We're going to run this. And as we can see, we're pulling in the 7 for 7, we're pulling in the 1, we're pulling in the 30, the 15, and it all looks correct. So now that we've parsed the year, month, day, we're now going to have to take the parsed, cleansed version and bring it all together. So what that looks like essentially is concat, and we're going to remove the naming conventions here because they are now going to be irrelevant. And then we'll wrap it there, and we'll name this as sales date clean, and then we can run this. So as we can see, we now have all of our numbers together. What we're going to do next is essentially add in the hyphens that are default format for Google BigQuery after the year and the month, and we can see that now that is correct. So we have our year, month, and day, year, month, and day, and let's see if we can find a double month. Cool. And then maybe we can find another double month. Cool. So that looks correct, but obviously we also see the issue that we're not adding in this additional 0. So how do we do that? It's not too difficult. There is a function in Google BigQuery called lpad, left pad, and with this you can pad with any character. It's pretty similar to zfill in Python. So the first part of the function is what you want to pad with, or what the thing you want to pad. The second part of the function is how many characters the length of the output should be. So in this instance, we want 2, because if it's a 1 length, we want to pad it. If it's a 2 length, we don't want to pad it. And then the the third part of the function is essentially what you want to pad with, and we're going to pad with a string of the number 0. And we'll do the same thing for day. So comma 2, comma string of 0, and just wrap in the lpad. And then we'll I'm not sure why I'm getting this error. I think I need to fix the parens, and now we're good. So now the output is the year, the month, and the day. We can see that is looking good. So we're just going to go through the 4 different iterations. So single, we have year, month, day, correct. This one, that looks correct. Let's see, double, that's correct. And I guess that's a bad example for a double, because it's the same number. This one looks correct. Let's see if we can find another double. There we go. That looks correct. And the year is obviously also coming in correct as well. So the format is correct. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move this data. We're probably going to not select the sales date anymore. We will select star. However, let's see, select star. Let's see all of our column names. So we have sales date clean. We're just going to rename that, honestly, to sales date. We're going to remove these comments as well. They are redundant now. And then what we're going to do is select all of our columns by name. So we're because we don't want to just select star, because we don't want both the uncleaned and the cleaned date column in our new table, our production table. So sales details underscore ID, sales ID, item, price, quantity, and that is good. We're going to select that again and maybe bring this down a little bit. So we have the sales date, the IDs, item, price, and quantity, and that's it. So we have the clean date. So now we're good. Okay, so what we're going to do next is bring this into a table. So we'll be doing drop table if exists. So this essentially completely deletes the table if it exists. If it doesn't exist, then it does nothing. So it's nice and has that interoperability. We'll do cellular-unity -41411.test sales underscore data underscore PRD. So this is the production table. Again, I didn't rename the other table to staging, but not a big deal. So drop table if exists, put a little thing there. And then we'll do create table blah as this query. And then we'll just copy this and put that here, as you can see. And then we have our query here. Drop this down a little bit just to see it better. So we're going to drop the table, and we're going to create the table with this query. And that's pretty much it. So we're going to run this. And it shouldn't take very long. It's a very small amount of data. And then what we're going to do is click our sales data PRD table. And one thing you're going to notice actually is if we look at the sales date field, it's still a string. It's actually not even a date yet. It's still a string value. So what does that mean? That means that we have to change the data type in our query. So what we're going to do is cast concat. Right here has date, sales dates. Run this again. It's going to drop the previous table that we already created. It's going to create the new table and insert that in there. And that's going to load. Cool. We're going to click our table again. And now we have the date field. Sales date is now a date. It's properly formatted to be correct according to the Google BigQuery default date format. There you go.